Hello and welcome to Empathic Times. My name is Amira. Too often, those that pay the price of war and conflict are rarely the aggressors and fighters, but the innocents. The women and children that are stuck between warring entities are all too often the ones that pay the ultimate price for those seeking power. That is the situation in Sudan. This is the reality the people in the region are living. If they are not killed or seriously injured by the conflict, they are turned into refugees, forced to leave their homes, the only place they have ever known, made to flee and face a world and life path that they would have never chosen for themselves or their families. The price paid by too many for democracy. How did we get here? In 2021, a coup in Sudan ended a civilian transitional government that had been established following the ouster of former President Omar al-Bashir in 2019. The transition was supposed to result in elections of civilian parties by the end of 2023, a collective goal of having a democracy. As is common, however, in conflict and power grabs, the Sudanese army obtained power of the government, leading to the Rapid Support Forces, a paramilitary group within Sudan fighting against each other for power and control of the government and country. Sudan is a country that prior to this transitional government and feuding was already experiencing a humanitarian crisis. An estimated 15.8 million people were expected to need humanitarian aid in 2023. About 4 million children under 5 and pregnant or breastfeeding women will be acutely malnourished in 2023 and need life-saving nutrition services. See what I mean? Women, children, pregnant mothers are paying the ultimate price, while two former friends duke it out to see whose military is bigger and stronger, with no concern to the casualties and ultimate cost in this conflict. On April 15th, 2023, the struggle between the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces reached a critical point, with the capital city of Khartoum experiencing extensive violence, leading to over 100,000 people fleeing Sudan and 300,000 internally displaced. Since April 15th, hundreds of people have been killed and over 4,000 injured, leading to over 5 million residents sheltering in their homes, with limited access to electricity, food, water, medicine, or fuel. And although a week-long truce was agreed to in order to arrange peace talks, clashes still broke out within the country. Witnesses reported warplanes over North Khartoum on Wednesday and fierce clashes near the state broadcaster's headquarters in the capital's twin city of Omdurman. This situation is dire and is creating difficulties because of the amount of displaced people that are now having to flee the region and go to other countries, many of which are dealing with their own crises and humanitarian concerns. Countries that some Sudanese people are fleeing to is Central African Republic, Chad, Egypt, Ethiopia, Libya, and South Sudan. And for some, even Saudi Arabia. But from the reports that I saw, that seems to be a select few within the country that can make it there specifically. The concern for the people is the immediate and long-term impact that this is going to have, especially on children. Making matters even more difficult is that the essentials for people's survival and the cost of transportation out of the worst hit areas has risen exponentially, leaving the most vulnerable unable to locate to safer areas. Accessing services such as urgent healthcare is severely constrained, which is raising the risk of preventable death. The toll on mental health, and especially children and young people, is unfathomable. Massive looting of offices and warehouses of humanitarian organizations has depleted most of the supplies. Only 16% of the healthcare facilities are operating, leading to an estimated 50,000 acutely malnourished children no longer receiving treatment because of the conflict. In previous videos, I discussed the humanitarian crises happening in South Sudan, as well as Ethiopia, Somalia, and Yemen. I'll have those linked at the end. The inability to access healthcare services, provide aid to malnourished children and pregnant mothers, and a lack of food and water was and continues to occur in all of these regions. And again, these are not fighters. These are not the aggressors, but the everyday people that did not choose this for themselves. They are stuck between feuding entities that see their own desires for power as greater importance than the people they would, in the end, be governing. It's not a smart political move that is making matters even worse. But this is where these people are now, and it's heartbreaking. Prior to the fighting, Sudan hosted around 1.1 million refugees, one of the largest refugee populations in Africa. Another 3 million people internally displaced, majority of them in Darfur. The UNHCR reports that more than 73,000 people have arrived into neighboring countries and organizations and are preparing for the possibility that over 800,000 people may flee the fighting in Sudan. The UN was taken by surprise by the conflict because the world body was hopeful that negotiations would be successful. To the extent that they and many others were not expecting this to happen, they say they failed to avoid it happening. Here are my final thoughts. Thinking that a conflict and crisis such as this is not going to happen in a region that is rife with poverty, famine, floods, and drought is wishful thinking. When people are hungry and poor and seeking change to that dynamic, they are going to do a lot of things. When you have a population that has been under the boot of so many other foreign powers, it's going to lead to the people within the country to turn on each other because they are the closest. And the rage and turmoil one feels is going to manifest into something just like this. What's happening in Sudan is not new. It's not unique, but it is heartbreaking. As I said at the beginning, the ones that pay the price for war are too rarely the ones that actually start and fight in these conflicts. They are the ones that get caught in the crossfire. This fighting in Sudan will continue as these two parties vie for power and control. The question becomes, once one side wins, what will they have left? Thank you for watching. If you want to learn more about the crises happening in Africa, check out these videos. Links to all articles are in the description box. If you liked this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and share with others. As always, stay safe, take care, and be kind to each other.